so now I'm seeking forgiveness before it's too late. I 49 feet have 3 children, 22 feet, 19 meters and 18 feet. My oldest 2 are my biological children from a previous marriage. And my youngest became my daughter at the age of 2 when I married her widowed father. She has always called me Mom, and I officially adopted her at the age of 12. Now, under the issue with the stuffed animals, years ago when I was 20 and in college, I worked at a children's museum. I adored the job and working with kids and had the idea to buy stuffed animals from the gift shop to be my future kids' first stuffed animals whenever they were born. I had gotten a stuffed bear at birth that was very special to me growing up. On my 18th birthday, my parents giving me a duplicate they had bought way back when and kept for me all these years. I found this so special and wanted to do something similar, so I bought 6 stuffed animals from the museum's gift shop, 3 to be given at birth and 3 duplicates. I had no idea at the time how many kids I would have, but I knew I wasn't planning on having more than 3, so I didn't get any more. My first daughter received the stuffed animal I selected for her while I was pregnant. Then between her birth and the birth of my son, I miscarried. The experience was deeply traumatic for me, especially as I miscarried in my 2nd trimester and I buried my baby with a stuffed animal they would have gotten. I kept the duplicate for comfort to cuddle and hold. Finally my son was born and received the last of the stuffed animals I had set aside so many years ago. Now, here's why I might be a bad mother. For both my daughter and son's high school graduation, I surprised them with the duplicates for them to take to college and compare against the stuff as they've been loving on their whole lives. Both were very moved by this and took both original and duplicate to school with them. My youngest, however, never received a stuffed animal. And so when her graduation celebration rolled around, I had no duplicate to give her. I watched her unpack all her gifts and her face fell when she got to the last one and realized. She didn't really say anything, just got this super sad look on her face and excused herself to her room. I followed to ask what was wrong, but she said she didn't want to talk to me, so her father went in instead. According to him, she cried to him that she didn't feel as loved by me as her siblings and as much a part of the family. The unwrapping of her siblings' stuffed animals were very emotional events, and she had the expectation, she beginning the same. In hindsight, I could have easily done something similar for her whenever I first came into her life, even if it wouldn't have been from the museum. But I just didn't think of it. She has been called to me this entire last week, and I feel so terrible. I've offered to take her out to a special dinner for the 2 of us to make amends, but she turned me down. What can I do to make it up to her? Add it? Many of you are suggesting that I get her a stuffy that reminds me of her, or maybe get her 2, so she can continue the tradition with her future kids. But I think what I will do is give her the duplicate my parents gave me of my special plush bear I received at birth, which is one of my most treasured possessions and deeply meaningful to me. Thank you all for the advice, it is genuinely appreciated. Update 1. Long story short. My daughter found my post and came to me in tears apologizing for her reaction. This was not my expectation, she sobbed in my arms that she didn't want this to be the end of our relationship, and that she was sorry and wanted to enjoy this last summer together. I held her and assured her she had nothing to apologize for, and I apologized myself. I did shed a little tear, but trying to keep my emotions in check as I did not want the burden of comforting me to be on her. What followed was a productive but incredibly emotionally vulnerable conversation, the details of which I will not disclose entirely. She has been going through a rough time, and my impression, I could be wrong, is that the lack of a stuffy at graduation was a catalyst for bigger emotions. She did take me up on my offer to take her to dinner, and I've now booked a reservation at a nice restaurant she has been wanting to go to for a while. Last night, we cooked her favorite dinner together, which gave us an opportunity to smooth things over somewhat. We have not yet broached the subject of me intending to give her my own flash, except very briefly. She insisted I didn't have to, and seemed to feel a lot of guilt. I still plan to, I just feel it would be best to wait until things have cooled down. If she truly doesn't feel comfortable taking it, I plan on getting a bear of a similar look to be its little brother for her to take care of. That's the update. Obviously things have not magically mended overnight, but we are finally on track to a resolution. Day 2. When I initially posted, I was prepared to face judgment and open to constructive criticism. However, while I did receive many constructive comments, which I truly appreciate, I received many more that were hateful and unconstructive. I will admit I did get defensive. But the attitude I took on in the comments is not one I brought into my interactions with my daughter. Please understand that I did not throw in her face all the kind things I feel I've done for her over the years, but was rather attempting to contextualize our relationship for strangers who have never met us to answer a few questions. Why did I not adopt her until 10 years after I came into her life? Because I never sought to force myself on her as her mother, and waited until she could give me explicit consent to adopt her. Why did I never buy her any stuffed animals? I did. I bought her many when I first met her, as well as one for her official adoption day and every adoption day celebration, since I did technically give her a stuffed animal for her graduation too. It was just a flush of her college's mascot, rather than a duplicate of a treasured plush from her childhood. Why did I not buy her a duplicate at any point over the last 16 years? I did not think to, until my oldest graduated and received hers, by which point I mistakenly felt the significance would be lost. Both my bio kids received stuff as saved for them for decades, whereas she would have received one saved for only 4 years. Instead, I tried to honor her in other ways, such as crafting her a cookbook of generational family recipes that I illustrated by hand, because she is her own individual. Truthfully, while I understand the sentiments expressed in the comments, I don't believe recognizing differences is inherently a bad thing. The duplicate stuff is my bio kids received, were duplicates of the very first stuff is ever in their crew with them. The receipt of them was a birth event, and I did not give birth to my youngest. But that does not mean I love her any less or that she is any less my daughter. We have established our own traditions honoring her entry into my life, such as our celebration of her adoption day. While I realize I could have handled the stuffy situation better, I do believe it was an honest mistake. But how could I not include her in a treasured family tradition, knowing how important it is, especially as an adopted child, to feel a part of the family? Because I truly did not realize this one specific tradition meant as much to her as it did. I have strived to include her in as many family traditions as possible throughout the years. She speaks German because I taught and spoke it to her growing up, even though her father does not. We celebrate German traditions such as baking countless batches of German Christmas cookies together every year. Just the two of us. Neither of her siblings have any interest in baking, which is something I grew up doing with my mom. And every year it is quality time I deeply treasure. For her 16th birthday, I gifted her the locket my mother gave me on my 16th, which she had been given by my grandmother before me. This actually upset my eldest daughter, who had not received such a hand-me-down. This is just to name a few examples. Given the fact that she has on occasion received and taken part in traditions my other kids have been excluded from. I did not think the stuff he would carry as much weight as it ultimately did. But isn't her reaction an indication that there are larger issues at play, and that she has likely felt this way for a while? Perhaps I am not a perfect adoptive mother, and have never claimed to be. I cannot see inside her brain, so I cannot know her true feelings. But my sense, and I may be wrong, is that the larger issues at play relate back to her bio mom, which is something she expressed to me in our conversation. I did not disclose this in my original post, because I did not believe it to be relevant, and it is also a painful topic within our family. But her bio mom suffered with postpartum depression, and sadly, is no longer with us. This has obviously impacted my daughter, who has been in and out of therapy for years, grappling with feelings of loss and guilt. She is highly sensitive to feeling isolated within our family unit, which is something I should have taken into account in this situation, and I own that. Come to whatever conclusions you all like. I will likely not be updating again for my own mental health and the well-being of my family to all who left genuine advice. Even if that meant calling me a bad mom, I truly do appreciate you. And to all who said hateful